We finally know the price and launch date of the PlayStation 5. We got the PC system requirements of two highly anticipated games, and Nintendo is discontinuing one of its most successful console families. Hi, I'm James, and welcome to this week's Gaming News Recap. Well, we finally know everything we need to know about the next generation of consoles. Last week, Microsoft unveiled the pricing and console release dates for the Xboxes, but this week, the spotlight was firmly fixed upon Sony when they announced, at last, that the PlayStation 5 will be released on November 12th in the USA, Canada, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, and Mexico. The consoles will hit the shelves on November 19th in the rest of the world, with the exception of China, where the console has not yet received a launch date. Now, as you know, we get to pick out of two PlayStation 5 models, the full-featured one with the disc drive and the digital edition without the drive. And unlike with the two Xboxes, that is the only difference between the two models. The digital edition will cost €399, while the standard edition will set you back €499. Both consoles have the same AMD Ryzen Zen 2 processor with 8 cores and 16 threads, running at a variable frequency up to 3.5 GHz. The graphics will be handled by the AMD Radeon RDNA 2 based GPU that will support ray tracing, and all of that horsepower is being backed up with 16 GB of GDDR6 RAM and an internal custom NVMe PCIe Gen 4 SSD with 825 GB of storage. The PlayStation 5 will also be the only next-gen console to support the new Wi-Fi 6 standard. That should mean faster downloads and a more stable wireless connection, at least for the few people who already have a Wi-Fi 6 compatible router. The PlayStation 5 pre-orders started this Thursday, at least they did officially, because many retailers, even here in Belgium, have started taking pre-orders way sooner. One retailer in Belgium and the Netherlands, called Gamemania, even started taking pre-orders for the new consoles since October last year. Not that this was a bad thing, not at all in my opinion. Because of that, at least some people over here will be able to get their hands on the new console on day one. Because many won't, because Sony, well, they screwed up the official start of the pre-orders in a few ways. The first one being they actually never told pre-orders would start September 18th at all. They just let Canadian journalist Jeff Keighley do that for them on Twitter. That meant that a lot of people did not know when the new consoles would be available for pre-ordering. The second part of the whole story is that Sony apparently has only a very limited amount of consoles that they'll actually ship for the day one release. Now, I don't know any exact numbers, but a few of my contacts, both here in Belgium as abroad, individually told me that some retailers will only get somewhere in the double-digit amount of consoles per store on day one. Now, this limited run isn't exactly Sony's fault, because a large part of this is the result of the reduced production in the entire tech industry because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And combine that with the explosive growth of the gaming community because of, well, again, COVID, that makes a lot of people having to stay at home and explore new ways of entertainment, and well, they start gaming. All of that resulted in the PlayStation 5 selling out in a matter of hours. And that was something Sony has apologized for on Saturday. Sony also pledged to release more consoles for pre-order, and they will also make sure there will be more consoles available through the end of the year. So when I told you last week to check your local retailers early, this was why. Now, did you manage to pre-order PlayStation 5 that you'll get on the launch day? Let us know in the comments below, because I'm actually curious how many of you got your hands on one. Except if you're going for Xbox Series X or S, but even then, just let us know what you'll be doing. Bad news for those who are looking forward to playing their PlayStation 1, 2 or PlayStation 3 games on the PlayStation 5, because Sony has officially announced that those games will not run on their new consoles. The news came from PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan in an interview with Famitsu, where he said the PS5 development team didn't have enough time to implement backwards compatibility for the older PlayStation console generations. He went on to say that the PS4 has already 100 million players, and we thought they ought to want to play PS4 titles on the PS5 as well indeed. So we included compatibility with the PS4. While implementing that, we also focused our efforts on taking in the high-speed SSD and the new controller DualSense at the same time. So unfortunately, Sony, couldn't reach the implementation of such compatibilities. Those compatibilities being PlayStation 1, 2 and 3 games. According to the PlayStation lead system architect, Mark Cerny, there is a reason why the PlayStation 5 will support PlayStation 4 games easily. And that's because both consoles are built on similar internal structures. PlayStation 3, meanwhile, was built on an architecture that was notoriously difficult to develop for. In an extension to this news, we also haven't had a confirmation that PlayStation Now will work on the PlayStation 5, so we'll keep you posted on that. Now, we talked about it a few months ago, but now the rumors have been confirmed. Nvidia is set to buy the UK chip designer ARM for a modest 40 billion with a B dollars. Now, the acquisition is still awaiting regulatory approval, so nothing is final yet. According to Nvidia's announcement, ARM's Cambridge headquarters will expand with a new AI-focused R&D center, so the acquisition appears to be strongly motivated by AI development. Nvidia CEO Jensen said in the years ahead, trillions of computers running AI will create new Internet of Things that is thousands of times larger than today's Internet of People. Our combination will create a company fabulously positioned for the age of AI. The proposed AI facility will apparently support developments in healthcare, life sciences, robotics, self-driving cars, and other fields. Nvidia has also said to continue delivering ARM's open licensing model and customer neutrality, so customers like Snapdragon, Apple, and Samsung will be able to continue using ARM designs for their chips. The transition should be completed in about 18 months, according to Nvidia. In other Nvidia news, the company launched its new line of graphics cards earlier this week. The RTX 3000 series launched this Thursday, and well, they sold out in a matter of seconds, leaving tons of potential customers disappointed. A big part of this poor launch is because a lot of poachers have been using bots to buy absurd amounts of GPUs to flip them for massive profits on eBay or other reseller websites. Nvidia has responded to the whole situation, saying that they are currently looking into suspicious sales in order to cancel those and free up some more cards this way. But for now, all you can do is hit refresh on Nvidia's website if you really want one of those new graphics cards, or you could check your local retailer and see if they don't have any stock left. CD Projekt Red announced the PC system requirements for Cyberpunk 2077, and they don't seem nearly as high as I personally thought they'd be. But I do have to stress that CD Projekt did not specify the target resolution or frame rates for either the minimum or recommended requirements. Anyway, here they are. The minimum system requirements are a PC running Windows 7 or Windows 10, both 64-bit versions, an Intel Core i5 3570K or AMD FX 8310, 8GB of system memory, an Nvidia GeForce GTX 780 or an AMD Radeon RX 470, both cards running DirectX 12. And you'll need 70GB of free storage. Now, the game will run on a traditional hard drive, but they do recommend the use of an SSD. The recommended requirements are a PC running Windows 10, again 64-bit, an Intel Core i7 4790 or AMD Ryzen 3 3200G, 12GB of system memory, an Nvidia GeForce GTX 1060 6GB, or an AMD Radeon R9 Fury, again both running DirectX 12 and again 70 gigabytes of free storage on an SSD. Ubisoft has also unveiled the PC system requirements for Watch Dogs Legion, and well, they went to immense detail compared to CD Projekt Red, so get ready because there will be a ton of part names and numbers. Now, to run Watch Dogs Legion in 1080p on low settings, you'll need the following: a PC running Windows 10 64-bit, an Intel Core i5 4460 or AMD Ryzen 5 1400, 8 GB of system memory, an Nvidia GeForce GTX 960 or AMD Radeon R9 290X, and 45 GB of free storage. To run the game on 1080p high settings, you'll need a PC running Windows 10, again 64 bits, an Intel Core i7 4790 or AMD Ryzen 5 1600, 8 GB of system memory and dual channel setup, so 2 sticks of RAM, an Nvidia GeForce GTX 1060 6 GB or AMD RX 480, and 45 GB of free storage. For 1440p high settings, you'll need again Windows 10 64-bit, an Intel Core i7 7700K or AMD Ryzen 5 2600, 16 GB of system memory and dual channel setup, an Nvidia GeForce RTX 2060 Super or AMD Radeon RX 5700, and 45 GB of free storage. For 4K on Ultra settings without ray tracing, you will need Windows 10 64-bit again, an Intel Core i7 9700K or AMD Ryzen 3700X, 16 GB of system memory and dual channel setup, an Nvidia GeForce RTX 2080 Ti or AMD Radeon 7, and 65 GB of free storage. And then there are the system requirements for those who want to play with ray tracing enabled. For 1080p high with ray tracing enabled, you will need a PC with Windows 10 64-bit, an Intel Core i5 9600K or AMD Ryzen 5 3600, 16 GB of system memory and dual channel setup, an Nvidia GeForce RTX 2070, and 45 GB of free storage. And if you really want all the eye candy and are hellbent on playing Watch Dogs Legion in 4K on the Ultra settings with ray tracing enabled, you'll need a beefy PC with Windows 10 64-bit, an Intel Core i7 9700K or AMD Ryzen 3700X, 16 GB of system memory and dual channel setup, and an Nvidia GeForce RTX 2080 Ti, and all of that should be backed up with a 65 GB of free storage. Now, for those whose hardware can handle it, Watch Dogs Legion on PC will support multi-monitor setups, DLSS 2.0 if you have an RTX card at least, and Tobii eye tracking. There will also be some voice command features. Watch Dogs Legion will hit PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Google Stadia on October 28th, and the game will get a free next-gen upgrade when the Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S and PlayStation 5 launch. And now it's time for a bit of esports news, because the Call of Duty League is moving away from PlayStation 4 to PC for the 2021 season. But surprisingly enough, the league will not allow the use of mouse and keyboard setups in the competition. Instead, all pro players must use a league-approved controller of their choice. Now, I have to be honest here, I wonder why the league is switching to PC but does not allow keyboard and mouse setups. I mean, let's face it, keyboards and mouse offers a way better amount of precision than controllers. I mean, there is a reason why we don't see top-tier CSGO or Overwatch League matches being played with controllers. Developer V1 Interactive has announced that it will pull the plug on the Disintegration multiplayer after it failed to find an audience since it launched in June this year. V1 Interactive even tried to spark some interest by giving players a free multiplayer weekend, but even that failed. So V1 and Private Division, the publisher, have announced that they will remove all multiplayer modes from the game. This will happen in several stages over the next few months, starting with the removal of the in-game store. The process should be done by November 17th, and the single-player campaign will remain fully playable. Nintendo has discontinued the production of all Nintendo 3DS models, according to its Japanese website. The page listings for the 3DS XL, new 2DS XL and 2DS are still live, but every handheld lists out of production under its name. The same message is visible on the Belgian Nintendo website, but on the US site all mention of the DS line is simply wiped away. Now, this marks the end of an era that began in 2005 with the launch of the Nintendo DS. And since its launch, the DS family of consoles has sold over 230 million units. The discontinuation of the 3DS is probably a direct result of Nintendo now fully focusing on the Nintendo Switch. Speaking of the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo has published its corporate management policy briefing for this financial year, and in it they confirmed that the company is currently working on their next gaming system, and that this system should launch somewhere in the next 80 years. I'm not even kidding here. This new system will continue to work with the integrated hardware-software approach that has been common with the past Nintendo consoles like the Switch, DS and the Wii. Now, chances are that this new gaming system is just a refresh of the Nintendo Switch with enhanced hardware capable of delivering gameplay at higher resolutions and frame rates, something like a Switch Pro. Anyway, we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what exactly Nintendo is coming up with. Electronic Arts has announced that it's going to retire their PC launcher Origin. EA Senior Vice President Mike Blank said that the Origin software on PC is being rebranded to the very exciting sounding EA desktop app. The app will also get a visual overhaul, which should create a more frictionless, fast, socially oriented experience for players, at least according to EA. And that's all the news I've got for you this week, so if you want more, you can come back next week, or you can check out our previous episodes, and there are quite a few of them by now. Now, if you like this recap, then please hit that thumbs up button and hey, maybe consider subscribing, it really helps growing this channel. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week.